Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, before I begin boxing, I must always give all credit to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I want to quote something from John 10:10 that says, "The thief does not come except to steal and to kill and to destroy." But Jesus says, "I have come that they may have life and they may have it more abundantly." And I pray that today you will have life and you will have it more abundantly. See, when you got an overflow, it is sheer. And I pray you guys know Jesus today and you will share him by showing some love. Let's get into the boxing. Keith Thurman beat Danny Garcia by split decision last night. Now, as I said before, I was unwavering in picking Keith Thurman to win this fight. Now, just came off of watching the fight. I didn't watch it last night. I didn't have time for all of that. I wasn't going to watch no boxing. I wasn't going to let it consume my mind because God comes first for me now. But I'm looking at the fight just a couple minutes ago. Keith Thurman definitely deserved to win this fight. You could say he won either 7 to 8 rounds of that fight. Even more if you want. I'm just being very conservative because you have to look at the swing rounds. Clearly, Keith Thurman won 5 of the first 6 rounds of the fight, and he was the guy that actually did the most damage. He was the guy that stunned Danny Garcia in the first round, had him on the back foot in the second round because of the power he had, and he kept on landing those crisp, sharp right hooks and straight rights just right on the jaw, on the button of Danny Garcia. But Danny Garcia's got a chin, ladies and gentlemen. He got a chin. Thurman's defense was on point there. Danny Garcia did land a couple really nice body shots. I'm thinking if he hit him, I think, with a straight right. So Garcia seemed to have been working on that straight right into pad work, and he would catch Thurman. Thurman would just be snapping back. I think once Garcia caught Thurman coming in with a left hook. So I saw a couple things Garcia did in that fight, but for the most part, Garcia couldn't really get into those exchanges he wanted with Keith Thurman. He would get into exchanges, but it would always be on Keith Thurman's terms. Keith Thurman was dictating the pace of the fight. He was dictating when he would engage. And Keith Thurman, when he's ready, he'd launch his power and he would just walk down Garcia. When he's ready again, he'd be on the back foot. Keith Thurman learned a lot from Floyd Mayweather because this is the way Floyd Mayweather does. He don't come to you when you want him to come to you. He doesn't make it easy for you at any time. And Keith Thurman's doing that yin-yang thing. I don't know if he studied Floyd Mayweather or somebody who trains like Floyd Mayweather, but that's the way Floyd Mayweather boxes, and that's what you saw with Keith Thurman. Just a very, very smart fight by Keith Thurman. Definitely the smarter of the two boxers. Definitely the one with more versatility. Like I said before, Floyd Mayweather is a very versatile fighter. He doesn't always engage you when you want to engage. The difference here is that Keith Thurman had that power straight through, all the way up to the 12th. And sometimes he'd close some rounds with some nasty power shots. And he had Danny holding on to him. Danny's a very smart fighter himself. And like I told you guys, Danny also has attributes of Floyd Mayweather in the sense that Danny, he can work off a jab. He moves. He slides in. Danny doesn't really step a lot. He doesn't shuffle a lot, but he slides. All right. You'll see Keith Thurman more bouncing and shuffling. But Danny, he's solid, man. He's solid, and Danny held his own in this fight, even though Keith Thurman was better than him in almost every category and area, because Keith Thurman more has his chance to ambush. Danny has to counter. See, Danny is like, I always explain to people, Danny's like Juan Manuel Marquez, a better version of Juan Manuel Marquez. He's excellent at counterpunching. That's his thing. I heard Danny's father telling him, you can't drop that left hand, man. He's going to counter over your left hand. He's going to land that straight right over your left hand when you drop it too low. Especially, he's talking about dropping it after the hook or the jab. So every time Danny would throw a hook, Keith would come over the hook. Now, much shout out to Eric Bradley, the fight doctor from Master Boxing. And the fight doctor was talking about the mathematics of the situation. The problem with that is Keith Thurman eliminated some of that mathematics by his foot movement. And the foot movement offset Danny. So Danny couldn't really land the combinations he needed to because Danny needed to plant to throw. And Keith, he could throw on the fly, and also he can change up the angle so you don't get the angle. Now, on saying that, Danny had a beautiful way of pivoting that threw off Keith Thurman as well. Keith Thurman, when he wanted to throw certain punches and combinations, Danny would either slide in, close that distance, or he would roll the punch and offset the angle so Keith Thurman couldn't throw off the punch. But then Thurman would set that trap, because when you have that foot movement where you can move around in the ring and manipulate yourself. I'm sorry you guys can't see what I'm saying. I actually have to show you guys to see. Those of you who understand boxing will understand what I'm saying. But for those of you who don't understand boxing, it's all right. It's all cool. But yeah, Thurman landed some hellacious shots on Danny, and Danny took it like a champ, man. He took it like a champ. And if he couldn't take it, he would back off. Now, I heard a lot of people, even the commentators, even Sugar Ray Leonard. I was disappointed when Sugar Ray Leonard said Danny need to let those hands go, because if you're dealing with a guy that can counterpunch, see, Keith Thurman can do a number of different things, like Floyd Mayweather. Keith Thurman can counterpunch you, but Keith Thurman's not just a counterpuncher. See, that's what you guys don't understand. Floyd Mayweather. If you guys understood Floyd Mayweather, then you would understand what Keith Thurman was doing. Keith Thurman can initiate. Keith Thurman can set a trap, but he can also initiate offense. See, that's the same thing Floyd do. That's the same, well, not Canelo so much. Canelo is a counterpuncher as well. Canelo need you to come to him. Canelo's kind of like a Danny, but Canelo got some more dimension to his game than just what Danny have. Because Canelo ain't going to just stalk you all over the ring and follow you. You know what I mean? You cut it off like Danny did. But even when Danny got Thurman in the corners, Thurman just lock up those hands. That's a low, it's called the high guard, but it's a low high guard. That guard covers your whole entire body. Manny Pacquiao does it. Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao did it. It's a really good guard where you crunch in, and then Keith Thurman, he will fold over and he will drop levels. So he can change levels and get out of there with you. He can also snap back, snap back and change the angle. He can snap back either way. Keith would have been trained by the great Winky Wright, man. Winky Wright being in this corner, great defensive fighter. So Keith got it all, okay? When I look at Keith Thurman, he's exciting, he's dynamic, he's a little wild when he needs to be, he's a little reckless when he needs to be. He knows when to be reckless because he knows what combinations to avoid. He knows how to use his defense while he's throwing those wide shots. Sometimes those wide looping shots catch you because it's outside of your vision. So he can throw it straight down the pike. He could wing it. He could go really wide like a Mexican, or he could hook it. He could shorten it up and hook it on you. He can do it all. You know, Danny, he wing wide too, but he do it slow, or he could hook it. He could shorten it up and hook it on you as well. Good fight, man. Good fight. Technically speaking, wonderful to watch. Both guys was playing high speed chess. It was good chess work. Keith ain't on the level of a Floyd Mayweather, but he definitely been watching Floyd a lot. Danny too, and them two boys been watching Floyd. Danny did a lot better than I expected him to do. Robert Guerrero actually did. He did better than he did against Robert Guerrero, but it wasn't good enough to beat Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman took about 8 rounds. 7 rounds. I had 8 rounds in my book. Danny did best in rounds 10. Round 10, he did best. He did good in round 11, but I thought Keith took round 11. So at the end of the day, Keith took 12, 11. You could argue for Danny or Keith in rounds 9, rounds 8. Maybe round 7. I think Keith edged out one of those rounds there I just talked about. Round 6, I think that was Keith. I can't remember if it was round 2 or 3. That was Danny's. But Keith basically took this fight. And when you hear Keith talk about it in the post-fight presser, I agree with Keith. I mean, I thought it was a unanimous decision, but I think the other judge, he got riled up by the crowd or something, or he was a Danny fan or something. I don't know. But 116, 115, 113, Danny Garcia, I don't really see it. But even so, I had to say Danny held up a lot better than I expected. That boy trained his butt off. He did his best, as best as he could. But at the end of the day, as he would say, he came up short. You know what I'm saying? And it's just what it is. Keith really is a scientific dude. He thinks mathematics all the way through. And when you're talking mathematics, this is for Eric Bradley, the fight doctor. Much respect to you, brother, but you also got to talk about geometry. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at angles. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I factored it in. I was never budging. I never fade. I knew Keith Thurman was going to beat Danny Garcia. And the reason was because when I saw what Keith Thurman brings to the table, a lot of people jumped on the Danny Garcia bandwagon. And I remember Keith Thurman saying, you know what? I ain't Lucas Matisse. I'm not Amir Khan. And I'm telling you guys again, you know, I heard Danny Garcia say that Keith Thurman, you know, he's not as good as Amir Khan as a boxer. I don't know what you talking about, bro. Also, if Amir Khan was to face Keith Thurman, he would lose as well. Okay? Because Keith Thurman's a smart fighter. He's a smart fighter. He's not as fast as Amir Khan, but Amir Khan ain't smart like Keith Thurman. He don't have what Keith Thurman has. Defense. Defense. Defense wins fights. Right? Defense wins games in any sport. And on top of that, besides defense, you got to have angles. You got to have footwork. See? I'm not saying Danny don't have footwork. Danny remind me of Joe Louis. You know, people say Muhammad Ali versus Joe Louis, who would win? Muhammad Ali. I don't even have to think about that. Now, if you say Rocky Marciano versus Muhammad Ali, that's an interesting fight. But Joe Louis, he had precise footwork, he had precise angles, but he didn't move much. See, Joe Louis, he'd come to you, he'd leap in, he'd take risks, leaping left hooks and stuff. Joe Louis was still a flat-footed fighter, but when necessary, he would get off his flat foot and do leaping left hooks and stuff. He'd do what he needs to do. He was busy with the bob and weave style. Joe Louis wasn't a bob and weaver. Joe Louis stayed in one stance, change it up, rock back, things like what Danny Garcia do. So, I mean, hypothetically, if anybody, Muhammad Ali knew he would beat the brakes off of Joe Louis for that reason. No disrespect to Joe Louis. Now, of course, this is all hypotheticals, but just studying the style. So you have to look at the style of fighting. Right? When I say that Floyd Mayweather would beat Thomas the Hitman Hearns, or I said Floyd Mayweather would beat Sugar Ray Leonard, you got to look at the defense of the fighter. You don't look at only at the offense, because Floyd going to get his shots in. Would Sugar Ray Leonard get his in? Would Thomas Hearns get his in? I would even go on to say Floyd Mayweather would knock down Thomas the Hitman Hearns. Right? Because he got enough punching power to do that to Thomas Hearns. Okay? And I have my reasons. I'll do another video for you guys to understand what I'm talking about. What Mayweather brings to the table that makes him that difficult a fighter to fight. I don't care what era you in. But let's leave that alone for a minute. We're talking about Keith Thurman versus Danny Garcia. So that's how I knew Keith Thurman was going to win this fight. I had no doubt in my mind he was going to win this fight. He was going to come up trumps. Everything Keith Thurman was saying, I knew he was going to beat Danny Garcia. Because this guy knew what he was up against. He knew what he was going to face. Or at least he prepared for it. And Danny, to his credit, prepared for everything Keith was going to bring to the table. Okay? Because Keith usually, he dropped stronger opponents than Danny, as far as I'm concerned. But Danny was mentally prepared to get hit, to get dropped. You know, he knew what he would need to do to pull through this fight, and he was able to do that, be competitive. He wasn't competitive enough that he was winning consistently rounds or winning consistently exchanges. Keith Thurman was the one stealing the shots on Danny Garcia most of the time, because again, when you're an ambush fighter, which is what Keith Thurman is, he's an ambush fighter, like Floyd Mayweather, like Manny Pacquiao. When you're stealing shots on another guy, you're piling up points. See, Amir Khan's quick, but he's not an ambush fighter necessarily. Amir Khan stands in front of you and fights you, and he has some conventional ways, the typical stick and move, to be able to deal with an opponent. Floyd Mayweather is not a conventional stick and move fighter. I try to explain this to you people all the time. He don't just sit down on the back foot waiting for you to come at him. Sometimes he does it. Sometimes he walks to you. Of later on in his career, in his fight against Berto and Pacquiao, he was more laid back. But if you go and watch him fighting Canelo Alvarez, Miguel Cotto, Marcos Maidana the first fight, okay, even Marcos Maidana the second fight, he took it to the fighters later on in the fight. He took it to them. Sometimes he took it to them early in the fight. When you watch Keith Thurman, early in the fight, he took it to Danny Garcia. And then at a certain point in the fight, he laid back. Sean Porter against Adrian Broner. Initially, he takes it to Adrian Broner, countering him and hitting him up. And then what he do? He lay back on the back foot. But as soon as Adrian Broner commit to something, he'd come and attack him. So unless you guys understand the yin-yang of boxing, you will continue to say that certain fighters are stick and move. It's kind of like ignorant people talking about they see a black person and they all resemble one another. You know, it's a certain degree, or all Asian people look alike. You know, it's a stupid way of thinking. Or, you know, all black people are athletic, or all black people can dance and sing, or all black people are they're thieves and they're from the ghetto. It's this generalization that shows me the ignorance that people don't know boxing at all. You don't know boxing, like Roger Mayweather would say. You know what I mean? The sport of boxing has many layers to it, yes. But if you really are interested in a sport, you'll get to know it better. Right? You won't be just superficial and trying to make these superficial comparisons. And I'm not even a guy deep in boxing. I'm just a fan. You guys have a great one.